We are now down to the last 3 days of the regular season, and still there's a lot to solve. My goodness. I really thought Montreal would take care of it. I really did. It looked good. They're up 2-0. And then Chicago kept coming back. They actually took the lead, but Montreal tied it. They made overtime. That's one point they needed. They still needed another one. And then the overtime, the shootout happened, and so Montreal still has to wait. The wait could be over tonight. But in any event, we got 10 games on this Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the regular season, and quite a few of them have some playoff implications, though. The number of games that have them are decreasing because, the seeding is getting, the seeds are getting filled up and filled up, but there's still quite a bit to decide. I think pretty much as far as seeding and playoffs, I think everything can be solved tonight. I think it can. But let's talk about it. Who could get what tonight? Well, here's a simple scenario. Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs. They're 1 point away. 1 point away from winning the division and 2 games left. Just get the overtime one of those games and they've got it. Tonight they're playing the lowly Buffalo Sabres. Go to overtime, they win the division. First division title since 2020-2021. Or of course, like I said, first one in the full season since the 99-2000 season. They could also get it if the Lightning lose to the Panthers. Doesn't matter how. But yeah, so and if Toronto clinch the division, then we will have the Battle of Ontario in the first round. It will be Toronto versus Ottawa, and not only will we have the Battle of Florida in the first round as a result of that, but Tampa Bay will have home ice because the Panthers lost in regulation, and that's locked them up in third place. Like I said, seeding the seeds are getting filled in pretty quickly. Minnesota has one more chance to get in on their own accord without any help. They do control their own destiny. And I say one more chance because this is their 82nd and last game of the regular season. And they're at home against the Ducks. And all the Wild have to do, go to overtime. They're 1 point away. If they go to overtime, they're in, just like that. Or if the Blues lose, or if the Flames lose, Minnesota will be in. And as I said, this is Minnesota's last chance because if they don't get that point, they'll still be alive, but they'll need outside help to get in. And though it might come, I mean, Calgary does have a tough remaining schedule, but who knows? Anything's possible in hockey. So it's best the best option for Minnesota is to get that point, or just to get that point. If the game's tied and it's like not much left in the third, just take that point, get in. You want to get in for sure. St. Louis, they also have one more chance to get in because they're playing their 82nd and last game of the regular season as well. But oh boy, are their scenarios crazy. They have the simplest one. All they have to do, they have to beat Utah, but it has to be regulation. So it's not that simple. But they got to win in regulation. Or if they go to overtime and lose, they only get that 1 point. They're in if the Flames lose. Doesn't matter how. Or if they do win past regulation, this is where it gets crazy. If they do win past regulation, overtime shootout, they will need either Flames Vegas to result in anything other than a Flames regulation win, or they would need the Wild to lose in regulation. That's crazy. So yeah, let me repeat that. If the Blues win past regulation, overtime shootout, they will need either a Flames non-regulation win, so Flames win an overtime shootout or otherwise, or the Wild have to lose to the Ducks in regulation. Or even if they don't get a point, if Calgary loses in regulation, they're in. Get it? Got it? Thank goodness. But yeah, it's crazy. That's going to be a lot of attentiveness right there. Finally, The Canadians, they've been trying for days to get in. Their first attempt to clinch a playoff spot was all the way back on Friday. It's now Tuesday, and they're still not officially in. They moved themselves 1 point closer, but they still need another point. Well, or they still need another point, but they don't necessarily need Columbus to lose a point. The Canadians who are not playing today, they can get in with one simple scenario. Columbus cannot win in regulation. As long as Columbus doesn't win against Philly in regulation, Montreal is in. The reason for that is while Montreal has clinched the row call, regulation overtime wins column, they've clinched that tiebreaker over Columbus. That's not the main tiebreaker. The main tiebreaker, after games played, the main tiebreaker is regulation wins. Regulation wins, Montreal only has that by one. I think it's 29 for Montreal and 28 for Columbus. Columbus has 2 games left, and they're behind by 4 points. So if Columbus wins both their final games of regulation, they'll be tied in points, but they'll have 30 regulation wins. That'll move them past Montreal. So, however, if Columbus wins past regulation, it will not count in the regulation wins total. And even though they could, which means even though they could tie Montreal in points at the most, if one of those wins is not in regulation, they'll be tied. They'll finish tied in the regulation wins total, and that's not going to help them because they're way behind on row. I hope. So yeah. Because of that word salad I just delivered, with not much dressing. The Canadians who are not playing tonight, the Canadians could get in even if the Blue Jackets win in overtime or shootout. Only a Columbus regulation win will keep the Blue Jackets alive for the final day. So fans of Les Habitants will have their fingers crossed, hoping. They'll hope for a Blue Jackets loss, but they also hope if it's tied with about a minute something left in regulation, that Columbus doesn't put one in. Plain and simple. So yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah, those are the scenarios, and again, 10 games. This Tuesday, April the 15th, is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy, and there's a lot to keep an eye out for. And I would think, I think the remaining seeding could be kind of soft. I think if Minnesota wins, they'll be locked in at wild card one, and they'll face Vegas, which means St. Louis would face Winnipeg. So that would complete the West. That would complete the West matchups. So yeah, pretty much everything could be solved, including all 8 matchups after tonight. Should be interesting. Watch something get left over. I wouldn't be surprised. But in any event, all I can say to my fellow puckheads is happy watching on this wild and crazy Tuesday.